I never saw myself as a jealous man. Trust is the backbone of any marriage, and for the past 8 years, I believed ours was unshakable. My wife, Jenna, meant the world to me. Intelligent, ambitious, and fiercely independent. Those were the very qualities that drew me to her. So, when she was promoted to senior manager at her firm, I couldn't have been prouder. It'll mean late nights sometimes. You know how it is, she said one evening, her voice carrying the exhaustion of a long day as she sat at our kitchen table. I understand. I assured her, pulling her close. You work hard for this. I'll keep dinner warm, whenever you're late. And I truly meant it, or at least I thought I did. At first, everything seemed normal. Late nights at the office became a regular occurrence, followed by the occasional dinner meeting. Eventually, those dinners stretched into weekends spent catching up on big projects. Whenever I asked about work, she would dismiss my concerns with a weary sigh. It's just stress, Liam. New role, new responsibilities, she'd say. That was always her response. Just stress. I might have let it go if it weren't for that text. It arrived late on a Friday night. Jenna had dozed off on the couch, her phone still in her hand. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. But when the screen lit up, the words on it might as well have been carved into my chest. Working dinner Sunday. Don't forget who you belong to. See you soon. My stomach dropped. Who you belong to. I read it again, hoping I had misinterpreted, but the words were clear, taunting me. A deep wound torn open. It didn't take much to put the pieces together. I knew of Martin, her boss. Everyone at her firm did. He was wealthy, arrogant, and had a reputation for always getting what he wanted. And I knew how he looked at women. I had met him once at a company holiday party. His handshake lingered too long. His smirk too self-assured. In his eyes, they held a certain entitlement, the kind that stripped women down while their husbands stood by powerless. I shook Jenna awake that night. What's this? I demanded, shoving the phone in front of her. She blinked, still groggy. But then I saw it, a fleeting look of panic in her eyes. Oh, it's nothing, she stammered, yanking the phone from my grasp. Martin, he jokes like that sometimes. That's all it is. A joke. I scoffed, my voice thick with disbelief. Sounds like more than a joke, Jenna. She grew defensive the way guilty people do. I told you it's nothing. Just drop it, Liam. Please. I wanted to let it go. I really did. But something inside me had shifted. A tiny seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing fast. That Sunday, Jenna left for her so-called working dinner with Martin, promising to be home by 10 o'clock. I didn't believe her. So I made a plan. I knew where they would be. A small upscale Italian restaurant downtown. I even knew the private booth Martin preferred, tucked away behind thick curtains. Jenna had once referred to it as his personal office, in a joking tone. The memory made my stomach churn. I waited until I was sure they had settled in, then grabbed a spare key to Jenna's car and put on my best suit. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even nervous. If anything, I felt eerily calm, like I had stepped outside my own body. The only thing I could hear was the relentless pounding of my heartbeat. The moment I walked into the restaurant, the host greeted me with a polished smile. Table for one, sir. No, I replied smoothly. I'm meeting someone. Martin Reynolds' private table. The host hesitated. Sir, they requested privacy. I gave him a look so sharp it could cut steel. I'm sure they won't mind. Something in my tone made him reconsider arguing. Right this way, sir. I followed him past diners, sipping wine and twirling their forks through expensive pasta until we reached the heavy curtains. Even before stepping in, I could hear them. Martin's deep, confident laugh. Jenna's softer, more hesitant voice. My stomach twisted. The host glanced at me uncertainly. Would you like me to announce? No need. I cut him off coldly. I pushed aside the curtain and stepped inside. There they were. Jenna sat across from Martin, her face going pale the instant she saw me. Martin, mid-bite of his half-eaten spaghetti, glanced up, his usual arrogant smirk firmly in place until he recognized me. Liam. Jenna shot to her feet, her chair scraping against the floor. What are you doing here? I didn't look at her. I didn't need to. My eyes were fixed on Martin. Hope I'm not interrupting, I said, my voice dangerously calm. Martin wiped his mouth with a napkin and leaned back in his seat, trying to regain his composure. Well, this is a surprise. Jenna didn't mention you'd be joining us. That's funny. I shot back, pulling out an empty chair and lower myself into it. She didn't mention she belonged to you either. The smirk faltered. Liam, stop. Jenna whispered desperately. No. I turned to her for the first time, my expression unreadable. I won't stop. Not this time. Martin let out a forced chuckle, clearly attempting to regain control of the situation. Look, Liam, you got the wrong idea. This is just business. I leaned forward, lowering my voice to something lethal. Business. I repeated. Funny, I don't see any contracts on this table. No reports. No laptops. My eyes flickered to the half-empty bottle of wine between them. But what I do see is a man who thinks he can take whatever he wants just because he signs a paycheck. Martin's face darkened. You're out of line. I let out a short, bitter laugh. No, you are. You thought you could claim my wife like some prize and I would notice. That I'd just sit back and accept it. Liam, please. Jenna interrupted, tears pooling in her eyes. For the first time that night, my voice softened, but only for her. Jenna, I trusted you. I believed in you. My voice shook with restrained anger as I pointed a finger at Martin, who was now visibly sweating, and you let him treat you like something he owned. Martin straightened in his chair, though his usual arrogance had all but vanished. She's here of her own free will, he said, but the confidence in his voice had wavered. Is that so? I leaned back, a slow, ice-cold smile spreading across my face. Well, then maybe your wife would be interested in knowing the kind of man she married. The color drained from Martin's face. His jaw clenched as he hissed, You wouldn't dare. Wouldn't I? I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a small voice recorder. Jenna let out a sharp gasp. Martin's eyes widened in alarm. What the hell is that? He snapped. Insurance. I replied smoothly. See, I had a feeling something like this might happen. So I recorded everything. The calls, the messages. Hell, Martin, you're not exactly subtle. A jury would have a field day with you. Jenna turned to me in shock. You did what? I ignored her. My attention remained locked on Martin, who now looked like a trapped animal, desperately searching for a way out. Now, here's what's going to happen. I continued, my tone calm, controlled. You're going to transfer Jenna to another department, effective immediately. You will keep your distance. You won't call her. You won't text her. You won't so much as breathe in her direction. I held up the recorder. And if you ever do, this goes public. Your wife, your board, your entire reputation. Gone. Martin's mouth opened, then closed. He knew he had lost. Fine, he muttered through gritted teeth. It's done. Good. I stood, pushing my chair back with deliberate ease. Because if you ever so much as glance at my wife again, Martin, you won't just lose your job. You'll lose everything. He didn't argue. He didn't even look at me. He just sat there humiliated and defeated. I turned to Jenna, who hadn't moved. Her face was pale, her hands trembling in her lap. We're leaving. She didn't protest. Without a word, she grabbed her coat and followed me out of the restaurant. The car ride home was silent. Jenna stared out the window, her expression a mixture of shame and sorrow. I kept my hands on the wheel, my thoughts a whirlwind of emotions I wasn't ready to voice. When we arrived home, I finally broke the silence. I loved you, Jenna. My voice was quieter now, tired. I still do. But I don't know if I can come back from this. She turned to me, tears streaming down her face. Liam, I'm so sorry. I was so stupid. I never wanted this. I never wanted to lose you. I studied her for a long moment before shaking my head. Actions have consequences. For both of us. I grabbed my bag, the one I had packed before leaving for the restaurant, and headed for the door. Where are you going? She choked out. Somewhere I can think, I said, my voice breaking. Then without another word, I walked out. Martin lost his position a few months later. Turns out I wasn't the only one who had dirt on him. As for Jenna and me, we didn't make it. The divorce was painful. But in the end, I found peace knowing that I had stood up for myself, for my worth, for the kind of man I wanted to be. Not all revenge plays out like some dramatic Hollywood scene. Sometimes it's quiet, intentional. But when you take back your power, it's always satisfying.